other reason that growers apply a fungicide like Delero first pass in lentils. You know, even if it's a dry year, standability is a huge issue for lentil growers. Delero contains a 2x rate of a strobe called group 11 strobe called trifloxystrobin, which known for plant health, which is part of the activity, really helps with crop standability. Most of you are well aware of what harvestability means in your lentils: faster travel speeds with your combine, less cutter bar loss, etc., etc. So there's lots of pictures that demonstrate this. This is one that I pulled out here, just showing, you know, what trifloxystrobin can do for standability. What are my keys to a good fungicide program in chickpeas? I would say apply Delero early in that chickpea rotation. Prothioconazole, we touched on it about ascochyta. It's by far the best active on ascochyta. It's long lasting in the plant. It has preventative, curative, eradicative activity. And it also, when it gets in the plant, it moves within the plant. So, you know, apply Delero early and let it do its job. And by moving within the plant, I mean that that prothioconazole has redistribution properties. So when you're applying Delero or Proline Gold, you get the prothioconazole continue to move throughout the plant. And they can determine this by they, I mean a scientist, not me. They can determine this using carbon labeled tracing, and that's illustrated here in this picture. So after 7 days of application, you know, you're seeing the prothioconazole move within the plant. And that's a really important aspect when you're applying Delero and Proline Gold, in my eyes, on chickpeas. You know, you get into those dense canopies when your spray coverage, you know, sometimes gets tough and you may not hit everything. You want to have a product that's starting to move within the plant after you apply it. So Proline Gold, so we're getting into the similar feature actually with the active ingredient fluopyram. So fluopyram, one of the active ingredients in Proline Gold, has systemic movement in the xylem for the rest of the leaf surface. So, you know, also, and this also kind of demonstrates the long-lasting activity of fluopyram. So you can see here in these two pictures, you know, is applied a portion of the leaf 48 hours after application, and then look on the right, the high concentrations of fluopyram 30 days later. So really a nice feature of a product when you're applying on chickpeas to make sure it's staying in the plant and moving throughout the leaf and sticks around for a long time. Touch a little bit about resistance. This is really important. There is no known resistance to prothioconazole or Proline in Western Canada. So I'll repeat that. There's no known resistance to prothioconazole. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why chickpea growers, you know, love this active ingredient. We're all well aware of the group 11s, you know, your strobilurins, and there's lots of resistant issues with chickpeas. Many experts will tell us that a strobe application actually later in your chickpea rotation, whether it's your third or fourth, fifth application, that the strobe may not be that effective or maybe ineffective at all. So that's why Delero is a great fit early in the rotation, and we like Proline later in the rotation as part of a workhorse late in your chickpea rotation, sort of your third or your fourth apps. Proline Gold does not contain a strobe. As you know, most growers tend to shy away from a strobe at the end anyway, and due to greening effects, it potentially lengthens maturity of your chickpea crop. And as a chickpea grower, we already battle, you know, frost-free days to try and get chickpeas in the bin. We don't need extra days to maturity of our plant staying green. I also really like Proline Gold at the end of the rotation versus a Bravo. I've used Bravo lots over the years, back in the early years of the chickpea days, seen it lots of trials, but there's just much better, more robust products now. Bravo is only a preventative. It only protects what you get coverage on, which in a late application scenario, we sometimes struggle with dense canopies, and it's really tough to get, you know, good coverage of the whole plant. So you may only get 30-40% coverage on some of those leaves, pods, etc. And so whereas you got Proline Gold or Proline at the end, you're getting preventative, curative, eradicative activity on Ascochyta, moves within the plant, and helps you kind of protect, what you're missing with coverage. And I get why some organizations are maybe recommending a Bravo. I mean, it's a different fungicide group. It's a good resistance message with track guidelines, but to me now with Proline Gold, I'd stick with that every day of the week. So I think I did have one slide here. It actually had Proline Gold and chickpeas. You guys, when you start to do chickpea comparisons, it really is tricky to isolate one product versus another and how good they are. In this particular chart, it's again an AUDP seeker. We have Proline Gold on the far left, lower the number the better, but it was followed by 3 apps of Bravo. And if you compare third from the right, there's 5 apps of Bravo there. So significantly better than just Bravo, than just a couple apps of Bravo. Proline Gold, followed by 3 apps of Bravo, was better than a competitive product sprayed twice, followed by 3 apps of Bravo. So tricky trial here, and not a lot of disease pressure, but just gives you an idea of Proline Gold and how it compares to 2 apps of Bravo or 2 apps of a competitive product.
Across all of our MD trials, we really did see Delero outperform our competitors. On average, our P trials yielded 65.2 bushels per acre, which was 7.2 bushels better than the untreated check, and 3 to 3.5 bushels better than our competitors listed here. So it really did shine. And if we break that data down a little bit further, we can look at it at different moisture situations. So on the left, we've pulled out the below average moisture scenarios. And here we're not seeing as great of a yield bump, but we are still seeing that boosting effect from the trifloxystrobin in Delero, as it did 3.5 bushels better than the untreated acre. And then on the right, we're looking at locations that had normal to above average moisture, and we see a more significant boost in yield. The Delero treated peas did 9.5 bushels better than the untreated, and 4 bushels better than our competitors. So here we can see the win rate of Delero over the untreated acre, Diax, Preaxer, and Elatis at 3 different moisture situations. What we really want to point out on this slide is the bottom row there. In above average moisture situations, Delero wins 100% of the time in field peas, and that gained those growers anywhere from 7.5 to 10 bushels per acre. So, in those years where we do have that greater than normal moisture, we really can see where Delero shines. So moving on to lentils, we can see where the trials fell, mostly across central and southern Saskatchewan. And looking at the market development data, we can see the trials that were treated by Delero. Delero had a 3.3 bushel per acre bump on the untreated. Diax, followed by Cotegra, came in second here, but single treatments of Proline Gold and Delero weren't far behind at just 2 bushels per acre over the untreated. So when we look at 3 years worth of data and pull data from a greater number of trials, we still see the benefit of Delero over the untreated acre and over our competitors. We really do see the benefit of that trifloxystrobin with the 2 treatments of Delero and an average of 4 bushels per acre bump over that untreated check. So again, we can take a look at the snapshot of the win rate of Delero and lentils over a number of different trials. And on average, it will win anywhere from 77 to 96% of the time. So, it's really proving to be that superior product.
For field peas, our recommendation is Delero. So as Lee was going through there, it performed really well, not just in these 2020 trials that she had up there, but historically it's always been a step ahead in field piece. So this market rarely warrants two applications. Like you'll typically go in 0 or 1 times with fungicide, but if you end up having to go twice, our recommendation for the second app would be Proline Gold. Likely, if you're going in late, that you're worried about the white mold or the sclerotinia. So Proline Gold is going to be a really good second app option there. For lentils, if you're planning on just going in there 1 time, keep in mind that application intensity indicates out of the last 6 years, only 1 had a significant amount of 2-pass programs. Guys always will talk about 2 apps and consider what if I have to go out there again, but typically it ends up being a 1-pass system here in the southern part of the province. For that situation, we recommend Delero, and kind of like Jody went through there, the only product on the market with control of the 4 major diseases. So if you're going out there once, you may as well use a complete product and have control of those 4 major diseases. So Delero in a 1-pass. If you are doing 2 passes in lentils and you plan for it and you're doing it no matter what, my recommendation would still be go out there first with Delero, get that complete product out there just in case it does dry up and your plans change. Get that Delero out there for sure. And then with your second pass, we'd recommend Proline Gold. It's got those got activity on those other earlier on diseases, anthracnose and ascochyta, but it's also very good on the molds that are going to be showing up later in the year when you're going out there with that second app. So it has the 2 modes of action in there, a group 7 and a group 3. So no concerns with that strobe resistance. So you can go out there confidently. Last note there is if the first pass was only targeting leaf disease, so if you're going out there and only going after ascochyta and anthracnose, technically in bio-label you could go back out there again with Delero for the second pass and use it to target molds if you really like Delero. But our recommendation first would be Proline Gold. For chickpeas, so this is pretty generalized. If you're doing anywhere between 3 and 5 passes, kind of where everybody falls in, or we'd hope that they fall in. We'd recommend no matter what, have Delero out there on your first or second pass, one of the 2. It's a very strong ascochyta product, and I think Jody did a really good job of emphasizing that, how well it can really do. But it's that strong group 3 in there that gives you the long lasting preventative and curative activity. Then moving on to your later applications, and I think Jody touched on this too with the last part of his presentation there, but your 3rd, 4th, or 5th apps, whether you're doing 3, 4, or 5, we're recommending you get Proline or Proline Gold out there. And the current process, most guys are getting Proline out there. Basically adding another tool to your tool belt with Proline Gold. So with it being a group 3 and 7, there's a lot less concern for resistance. If you do have to double up on any of the fungicides, that would be your best option. No strobe, and 2 strong actives that are working on the diseases that are there, not just there for looks. So final note there, systemic products are going to be your best option for protecting a dense canopy, and that goes back to Jody's message on how well the group 3s and 7s move throughout a plant compared to the contact product. So, and then moving on to your later applications, and I think Jody touched on this too with the last part of his presentation there, but your 3rd, 4th, or 5th apps, whether you're doing 3, 4, or 5, we're recommending you get Proline or Proline Gold out there. And with it being a group 3 and 7, there's a lot less concern for resistance. If you do have to double up on any of the fungicides, that would be your best option. No strobe, with that, I think I'll pass it back to Jody to get into Sencor.